Good afternoon. Welcome to Wayfind Marketing Live. This is our Tuesday show. And on Tuesdays, we focus on navigating business. And the whole reason that we do this show, which is both a live stream and we take the recording from this and we make it available on the Wayfind YouTube channel. We also turn this into a podcast, which you can find just about anywhere that you can find podcasts. Just search for Wayfind Marketing Live. Whole reason that we do this show is because we want to provide a way to encourage and equip business owners, other business leaders, and nonprofit leaders. And really, this was birthed out of everything that's going on right now. And so today we're going to be have the opportunity to talk with Jana Cardona. Now, Jana, if you don't know her, is the executive director for BNI Mid-South. So that's Memphis, that's down in DeSoto County, all the way down to Tupelo, and all the way up to Jackson, Tennessee. So she's got a pretty large territory. And what she does is she helps people network through BNI, Business Networking International. And I've been a part of a BNI group. I've known Jana for several years prior to joining BNI, and I've always had the utmost respect for her, just as a person, high integrity, genuinely is wanting to see people succeed and experience success. And as a group to know Jana, just realized how much she knows about networking, and not just networking, but how to do it. There's an art to it. And if you've ever been to, if networking is a part of your marketing or your sales process, then you've met a lot of people that are not good networkers. And so Jana's, one of her goals is to help people be successful in that, be the kind of networker that people want to interact with. And ultimately that's going to help you grow your business, grow your organization. And so today's topic is how to network like a champ when we're all stuck at home. Events have been canceled, and there's not a clear time frame for when everything's going to start coming back online. And so I'm going to bring Jana in just a moment. But I want to remind you, there's one of a couple of places that if you're watching us live, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, please feel free to make some comments. If you have questions for me, for Jana, if you have other suggestions or ideas, then please feel free to make those comments. We would love to hear from you. And the other thing is, again, you can find us on those channels. You can subscribe, and there's information at wayfindmarketing.com/live. But let me go ahead and bring in Jana, and we can go ahead and jump into this. Hey, Jana.
Hey, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am good.
Well, good.
Resting at home.
Yes.
Not
yes.
really, but at home, but not resting.
Well, Jana, thanks for coming on Wayfind Marketing Live. I'm really excited to have you on here because, so much has changed. And I know for a lot of people, networking is a huge part of their strategy for growing their business, growing their organization. And before we jump into that, though, just for any of our viewers and listeners that haven't had the opportunity to meet you yet, why don't you just give a little bit of your background, and then we'll jump in from there.
Okay. Well, my husband was in ministry for 29 years, and so I was a minister's wife and basically loved it, just worked behind the scenes and did a lot of things. And then he left the ministry at his 29th year, and he suffered burnout. So I was like, okay, I didn't know what burnout was. But anyway, I had always made a promise to myself. There were two things I wouldn't do, and that's sell and clean houses for other people. And I had to do both. So I got into selling air purification. That's how I came across BNI. I actually joined a chapter, so I was a member for 8 years. And then the opportunity came up to be a director in this region and take over this region. And so that's what I'm doing now. I've done that for almost 22 years now.
Wow.
So I I learned first how to need referrals and how to ask for things, and then I learned how to actually do them properly after I experimented for 8 years without a lot of knowledge. And so now I get to share that with other people, and I enjoy that because then I can tell them, hey, here's what not to do, and here's what you can
Yeah.
do.
Absolutely. Well, and Jana, it's probably a conversation for another day, but one interesting fact is that you and your husband Mark and your family lived in Australia for a season.
Yes, we did. That was awesome. It was a great experience. Living overseas it's just a really unique opportunity to see how other people live, how they think about you, and how different it is, and it was fabulous. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
So for any of our viewers or listeners, I would encourage you to follow up with Jan, and we'll have her contact information on the screen a little bit later. Not only to hear just ideas for networking, but she's got some great stories as well. Well, Jana, as everybody knows, things have changed significantly over the last month. But because you live and breathe in this part of marketing and business development that is networking, what are you seeing? What are some of the changes that you've seen? How do you see that affecting people and businesses and organizations?
One of the biggest things I think I see is that when people network, they have a conception of networking that I'm going to go out, I'm going to meet a lot of people, I'm going to gather a lot of information, and I'm going to collect those as contacts. Then I'll be able to reach out to them and hopefully sell them my product. That's unfortunately the way most people see it. And so when we got stationed at home, some people were just bombarding people with a lot of emails and a lot of phone calls, but they're trying to sell. And true networking isn't selling at all. True networking is actually building relationships. There's a huge, huge difference between those. And you can spot the people who are trying to sell a mile away, and no one likes that. And no one likes to be sold. And you think you might be offering them a wonderful thing. I've got this great mortgage deal, and it'll help you so much. But if I didn't ask you for it, and I didn't express an interest, I'm not really interested. So I think people have carried over bad habits into this. And I always try and teach people good habits on the front end. So when they're networking in person, or they're networking right now online, there's different networking events that are going on online. You still should never try to push yourself and never sell. That's a big, big downfall.
Oh, and it's interesting that you point out that with this shift, because again, if we think about networking, it's sort of in two facets. One is that one-to-one networking where, however you've connected with somebody, you have a cup of coffee or you have a phone call. But a lot of times, of course, that was face to face. And in Memphis, which is where we are, it's a very relational town. So there's a lot of networking. There's a lot of, hey, let's grab a cup of coffee or let's grab lunch and just talk a little bit more there. So you have that one-to-one, but then there's also the bigger dynamics of these events. So whether that's chamber events, of course, BNI does periodic events where you get to come and mix and mingle and meet a lot of people. But however, whatever format we're thinking about that does it, the bad habits that somebody has in those kinds of events, well, now it carries over online. And so are you seeing where a lot of people who might have gone to these bigger events are now kind of taking their bad habits from that big event where you might be able to get away from that person? You can kind of excuse yourself to go talk to somebody else. But now you're seeing those folks kind of taking those bad habits and carrying them over to email or, maybe phone calls.
Right. Oh, amen. I just heard somebody say the other day, if I get one more email telling me about all the benefits they have or whatever, he said, I'm just going to throw away my computer. And I thought, well, that's really, really radical. But they're tired of it. They in this society, in this crisis situation right now, people are looking for people who care. And, so the best advice I can give someone is don't be transactional right now. Don't even try to sell your product or service. Try to build those relationships and offer to help somebody else. What do you need, Steve? What can I do for you? Who are the people I know that I could help you connect with? And if I'm doing that for you, guess what? You automatically feel like a draw to me because I haven't asked for anything for myself. I'm willing to help you. There's a reason then you'll turn around and go, hey, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
And that's a huge, huge thing that we need to think about right now.
So Jana, and so for our viewers and listeners, we're going to be here in just a moment. We're going to shift. We're going to talk a little bit about the mindset of networking, which is absolutely essential, especially right now. And then we're going to wrap it up with some tactical, practical things that people can do. And so, Jana, when you think about, because you're involved with dozens of BNI groups, and I know that you're having conversations with people daily about this. What are you telling people who are maybe feeling a sense of panic, or maybe it's not panic, maybe it's just confusion, or they're just not sure what to do because their pipeline really depended on getting out to these events where they can meet a lot of people. And so what are you telling them, or how are you encouraging them given where we are?
I think the thing some people forget is that they're always thinking about who's the next person I can meet that I can develop, a sales opportunity with, rather than thinking back to who are my clients, who are the people that I've met in the past. We all have stacks of cards, right, in our drawer somewhere. Who are those people? Who are the associations I am a part of? All of those people, make a list of those. And your networking, quote unquote, right now needs to be to those people. And that's where I tell my members to start with your own backyard, your people, your clients. And it's really important right now to know that your customers will leave you if they don't feel you care. So the first thing to do is reach out to your clients and just go, hey, Steve, I just want to check on you. I want to know how you are. How's the family? How's your business going and all this? I'm not asking you for anything from me. I'm not saying, hey, by the way, and getting into I'm not asking any of that. Okay. And what I am asking you for is the ability to help you. And then I always say this too, and I've told my members to say this is, I like to surround myself with professionals who help my clients besides what I can do. So is there anything you need right now that I might be able to make an introduction to people I know who may be able to help you? That's huge. I've asked nothing for myself. I've only asked to help you connect with other people, and I might be able to do that.
Well, and I think that's a great point. That a couple of things that you said there that really stand out to me. One is, almost everybody has an existing network of people, and of course existing past clients, and also other people that we've met at those events. So right now could be a really good time to, of course, first and foremost, if you haven't already, reach out to your clients, have those conversations, and be a resource. And then reach out to people who you have connected with in the past. And again, from that standpoint of, hey, I just want to check in. Is there anything you need? Anybody that I can help connect you with?
Right.
And starting there, because we all have those networks. It just looks a little different now. Well, we've talked about mindset, and you mentioned this a few minutes ago. And really, whether it's networking, whether it's other areas of business or marketing, I think a lot of what's happened, it's really magnified flaws. If some of those folks that just were able to sort of wing it when it came to networking, and maybe were successful in spite of themselves, or whatever their scenario, now those bad habits, maybe it was just a lack of strategy, those are intensified. And so what are you saying? What is what is sort of like a bad mindset look like when it comes to networking? And then what does a good mindset look like?
There's a couple things with bad mindsets. Number one is, and I think this is a perfect time to rewind a little bit and take time to think about your own business first. Because too many people just go out and network and they splatter all over town. And when you ask them what their market is or who their clients are, they go, oh, everybody who, that everybody word. Well, that's totally useless, right? And because we don't know. So if I ask somebody, well, who's your target? They go, there's like a blank stare. They don't know. So the first thing is take a little breathing time right now. And first of all, create your marketing plan for yourself. Think about, who are my best clients? What kind of situations do they get into? And actually write them down. Because if you write them down, your brain actually kind of connects the thoughts, and you look at it and you go, yeah, that's not so good. I really don't want those people. And I want these people over here. And then make that plan. Now you know who you need to network with, who you need to connect with. Before, you were just randomly hoping to bump into people. So that's number one mistake most people make. Second thing is that when they go to talk, they like spew out everything about their business rather than creating a really short, very short introduction. Like, I could tell people all the things I do for networking. I do training. I do this. I do that. I'm already turning them off. But if I just say I help business, if they ask me what I do, I help business owners who are really busy look for business by referral. And then I stop, because the most important thing they're going to want them to say to you is, how do you do that? Well, most people, they say, ooh, I got permission now to talk. Yes. But I recommend that when somebody says that to you, you say, you know what? I'd love to share more about that. But before I do, Steve, let me find out a little bit more about you. Tell me about, and then I'm asking you for your details. If I don't say another word this whole rest of the time, and you talk and I ask you questions, kind of like you're asking me, if I ask you questions based on what you say, I can know, because I created that plan originally, whether or not you and I have a potential to do business. But I haven't said anything to you. I just know, because I've made that plan. And I think, I need to connect with him a little bit more. So I'll say to you, Steve, that sounds so interesting. I think maybe I have some connections you might be able to use. We might even be able to do some business. Would you be open to coffee? Well, guess what? You're not going to tell me no, because I just let you talk the whole time, and you think I'm a marvelous person, and you know very little about me, right? But we have a chance now to build a relationship that I didn't ruin because I blah, 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 and I didn't even know anything about you. And
Well,
that's a very important strategy.
Absolutely. And that couple of things that you said there that I really value, because it's how I try to approach networking, and I appreciate it when other people have that same approach. And one is, the goal is not to try to tell that person everything that you do.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we help clients with, is how do you clearly communicate what you do when somebody asks you the question, well, Jana, what do you do? Or Steve, what do you do? And instead of just like this blah, I'm going to tell you 28 different things that I do, and you're immediately looking for the exit. The other thing is listen, because it's much better to listen, ask open-ended questions. And so if somebody's viewing that from the mindset of, my goal is to get as much information into your brain as I can in this short little window of time, then, I'm the guy that you don't want to talk to the next time around. And then the other thing too is, it's important to view this as the first step in a process. And as you just said, hey, I think maybe there's an opportunity. Maybe some of the people in my network could be of help to you. Maybe there's opportunity for us to work together at some point. Let's schedule a follow-up.
Yep. And I'll always do it, and you'll always do it, because there's a mutual connection that could be possible. It's not like you're trying to sell me something and I'm like, oh, I really don't want it. I'm trying to be nice to you, but I really want to leave, or I don't want to follow up because you haven't allowed me to talk enough to find out if there was a connection. I just know you're going to try to sell me some more things, It doesn't work that way. If you think of networking not as trying to sell something, but as building relationships or looking for potential people to build relationships, not everybody is going to fit with what you need. You can be friends, but you don't need to spend that time building those relationships with people that you can't help and they can't help you. You can be friends, but that's all that you need to spend.
So I want to go back just for a minute to something you said a little while ago, and that's have a plan. know who your audience is. Who are the ideal people that you want to try to connect with, and be intentional. And, a friend of ours, Robbie Yates, who is working on an app that is designed to do that. It's to help make those events and those opportunities more strategic, more beneficial. So shout out to Robbie if he's listening today. But one of the things, so it's important to have that long-term perspective, build relationship. And, you mentioned an idea to me earlier about planting a tomato garden that I think is really, it's a great example. Why don't you share a little bit more about that and how that impacts how we network?
I read that in a book called Appreciation Marketing, which I highly recommend. I told it to you. But yeah, they talked about a tomato garden. And I thought, well, that's interesting. What's a tomato garden? But it stands for top of mind awareness through others. And how it works is that you really don't do something with the intention to get something for yourself. You do it with the intention to help someone else. So even a birthday card that you send to somebody thinking that you're going to reach out and touch, and they said, bad idea to put your business card in there because it's almost like a subtle way of going, hey, by the way, I sell this or I do this, whatever. So you have to, don't disguise trying to be caring about somebody with throwing in your business information. That's number one. But really top of mind means that, just to go back to what we said, I want to help you. I want to connect you. I want to work with you. I want to try to find resources for you. So when you are trying to be that connector and trying to help people with just anything, any kind of need they have for their business, relationships they want to develop, people they want to meet, if you go out and help promote them and you show appreciation for them, you let them know how much they've helped you, just gentle, kind words of appreciation, you're actually planting those tomatoes, watering them, and actually being top of mind. And they gave this great example of, they say that by the age of 21, 2,000 people. Okay. So you think, oh man, I might not know that many people. So let's just be really real down to earth and say, okay, maybe 200, right? Probably no more. But they said if you're a giver to those 200 people, then you're top of mind to them because they always know, hey, Jana cares, she'll give, whatever. But if those 200 people know 200 people, then that's like 40,000 people that now they're spreading the word about you as a top of mind person, that you care. So if only 200, if they only talk to 20 people, that's 4,000 people. That's better than what we had. So if you just be kind, you care, you're giving to other people, you're planting a tomato garden. You're watering it. Yeah. You're creating that total, hey, she cares, she'll help you, she'll do whatever. And then guess what? They'll reciprocate. And I don't have to say a word about my business. They'll ask me.
Well, and a lot of the statistics show that it takes multiple points of contact to take a relationship that's sort of in the acquaintance stage and to move it to a higher level of trust and move it into a friendship. It takes multiple touches. It takes that contact in multiple places. So it could be at events, it could be that one-to-one, it could be getting that card in the mail. And all of that is again, it's that long-term perspective. And occasionally when you sit down and you have a conversation with somebody, you're going to find somebody who, you know what, they need your product or service right now. Mm-hmm. And it's okay to talk a little bit about what you do in those conversations. It's not that you don't say anything at all.
Right.
But it's, especially in those initial conversations, hey, here's a little bit about what I do. Now tell me about what you do. And the thing that I see a lot of times too, Jana, is at some point people go, you know what do you do? I haven't heard anything from you.
That's right.
And so there will be those opportunities. But when we look at this at the long term, whether somebody themselves is a potential client, customer, or maybe they're a potential referral source. And like the example that you just gave, when we consider how many people we know that we're staying top of mind with, well, they know people. And so that grows our reach and ultimately that top of mind awareness.
Mm-hmm.
So
right. Yeah. It's all about giving to other people. And, you know, in BNI, we have the philosophy givers gain. It really works.
Absolutely.
If I care enough, and even if you ask me what I do, I'll tell you, but I'm not going to keep going and going and going and going.
Yeah.
I'm going to just a little bit at a time, right? So just that little spoonful helps
Sure.
you like me, because I'm not just spewing all over you, and I don't come out with that sales approach. That's true networking, no matter if you do it online, offline, whatever. It's the same thing. You can go in a chat room on Zoom right now, but if you spew and you take all the time to talk, no one's going to, wow, don't put me in that room again with that person.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
And you know, and you mentioned this earlier too, as the person who's asking the questions, you're going to discover things about this person that you're talking to. You're going to begin to understand, is this somebody who I can do business with?
Right.
You know, do they have a pain that I can help solve? And then there's opportunity that can spring forth from that. Now, one of the things that a lot of people are kind of looking at now, because I think it's absolutely essential for people to have that mindset of, how can I help, take the long term, listen rather than being bent on telling everybody the 28 things that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, from a very just tactical, practical standpoint, what are some of the things that you're seeing and that you're recommending people to do in order to connect? Because, you know, we still want those connections. We still want to have those conversations. There's something about face to face. So there's still opportunities, but how are you encouraging people to jump into those opportunities given our current circumstances?
Well, our biggest thing we've used is Zoom, and some
Right.
people use the FaceTime on their phone. Some people do the old-fashioned telephone, but I like being able to see people, and you know, feels like you're there, even though you're not, right?
Yeah.
But Zoom is a great platform. I know there's others, and I'm sure you have a ton of them you could recommend to people. But one of the things too, that once you create your plan, you're going to think about this, and this is an important thing for networking now and later, is you look at that list of people that you feel are your best clients and go, who else has these people as clients, but they don't do what I do? And then reach out to those people and go, you know what, we have the same client base. And if you would be open to a conversation, would you want to strategize on how we might help each other's clients? That's huge, because that wins a win for them, win for you. So think about that. Look through all those business cards you collected and go, hey, this landscaper could fit in my business. And I don't personally know a landscaper, so I need to get to know that one. So that's networking, and you're creating not just, hey, this is my product, but I think we have the same client base. How could we work together? Because one of the multiple people I've listened to over the last couple of weeks of being in this situation, they mentioned that some people are going to lose more clients than others. So if you have that reciprocal, this person has the same type of clients as me, and you've developed that relationship, all of a sudden, this person could help you, or you could help them fill in the gaps of the clients you've lost. And you can be there for each other and support each other. That's one great thing about the BNI relationship, is because I care enough about you, I'm going to share my clients with you because I like you. But if you don't have that environment of BNI or something like that, then reach out to those people who you connected with somewhere else and think about how you can work together. Not what you can sell them, but how you can help them, they can help you right now. And that's really, truly a good referral partner or a strategic alliance you can build. Those are huge right now to be able to work on now while you're in this situation, because you can do that on Zoom easily or any other platform like this.
Well, and you know, it's what strikes me is that a lot of the things that you're talking about really aren't new. These are things that really are good things to be doing anyway.
Oh yeah.
I think it's some of these are strategic things that people were sort of able to skip when the economy is just roaring forward, and you kind of, not that it's quite as simple as just show up and you're going to get business, but now people are having to, and it's easy to forget about those. So I love that idea about just looking for who are people that are serving the same types of clients. Look for connection points. And again, it goes back to how can I help? How can I serve and support, not just sell?
Well, if we use this time right now, our kind of downtime when I saw this old post that now I'm getting grounded for all the things I did when I was a kid, but that's caught up with me, right?
Absolutely.
So we're grounded, basically. But think about your business, because like you said, you're so busy running all the time. And we had this false sense of having this huge network and all this because we were around people all the time. Now it's come to a screeching halt. We're like, whoa, I don't have as many connections as I thought. And go back and go deeper. We've been superficial. Now we need to dig deep and really see who those relationships are. We need to develop and nurture and water and keep watering. And then they blossom into something later. We'll come out on the other end of this much stronger than we went in if we really use it now.
Well, I think another thing that's worth noting is, I saw a meme last week. And it was a husband talking to his wife, and he said, "Hey, I just got an email from a company that I guess I gave my email to 3 or 4 years ago, and they just wanted us to know that they're here for us." And I think it's kind of that same way of if you go back to somebody that you met a year or a year and a half ago, you still have to be genuine. You can't go in and pretend like, hey, I just want to check. I just want to make sure you know what? You haven't bothered to reach out to me in the last 18 months. So I think, again, it goes back to that idea of being genuine and definitely making those connections,
Right.
Reaching out and say, hey, you know what? We met a year and a half ago. And in all honesty, I'm looking to connect. I'm looking to grow my network in this season. Would you be open to us having a conversation?
That's right.
And I think people are open to that. People want the genuineness. Don't pretend, like, oh, hey, I'm your best friend, and if you need something, you just let me know. Well, no, that's not gonna fly.
And people are hungry to talk, so they have a little more time to talk to you now than they did before.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that you're going to make a great connection, but don't try to push it. Like you say, it takes time to nurture. Give yourself breathing time and just get to know people. You don't make a best friend overnight.
Absolutely. And it's the same thing here. And absolutely, reach out to prospects, reach out to people, offer those one-to-ones, and just have a conversation.
Right.
Now, what are you seeing in the way of sort of the groups? You've seen some things. You and I have kind of talked and brainstormed a little bit, but what are you saying? Because there are some people out there who are watching and listening and who think, yeah, the one-to-one's good, and I'm going to do that, but I still like the opportunity to meet with a larger group of people. So what are you seeing there?
I see some organizations that have offered. I know we're going to offer that. BNI is going to offer just an open networking event, and through, I guess, Facebook, and some of you that do better at marketing than me. I'm the one who knows what to do. I just don't know how to do it, right? So, but there are organizations. I know one of our members, Sauce Marketing, has done some. I think the South Haven Chamber is doing something for their members. If you're a member of that, I'm thinking about offering my platform, my Zoom platform, to like the Memphis Chamber, because I haven't seen them do something unless they're doing it and I didn't catch it. But just to give opportunities, I gave my platform over to the Sales and Marketing Society because I was on the board, and they were going to cancel their events. So I said, hey, we don't have to cancel. We could go on Zoom. None of them had done it, so it was kind of fun. And so look for places, and even think about. There are free Zoom accounts you can get. They limit the amount of time you spend on it if you have 3 or more people. So you can't really use it for a networking event. But I think a lot of people are posting about networking events here and there, and they can look for it or just reach out to associations that you've been with or whatever. Get involved, but point is, I think we spend a lot of time looking to meet new people when we haven't cultivated who we know and really built those relationships. We've been too superficial with the people that we know. Yeah. Now's the time to go deeper.
So in regards to these groups, one, there are events that are happening. Of course, people can go to bnimidsouth.com and their events will be listed there.
Right.
Uh,
And they can
and
visit a chapter if they want to. They can't, I'll just give a caution, they can't go and sell anything there, but they can visit and see what we do and how our people, work with each other. Maybe an opportunity for some to reach out and connect with some people.
absolutely.
You're welcome to visit, but you have to let them know you're coming because they have a passcode and a
Sure.
registration that we go through. But yeah, there's lots of other opportunities out there.
And one that an idea that came to mind is you were sharing through this, because a lot of us, again, a lot of us have existing networks, and with a tool like Zoom, it is possible to create your own event.
Oh
And
yeah,
so for some folks that are listening or watching, maybe this is something you can do. It doesn't have to be a big event with 50 people. Maybe you get 10 good people in that group and you reach out to your network, you reach out to your contacts and you let them know what you're doing. Maybe you find somebody that you can co-work, co-host with. And so you reach their network and then you encourage them to invite some of their contacts.
I
And
think
on,
there's some other platforms too, Steve. You probably know more than me. I'm trying to think of the one I heard that it's not. I don't know if it's Facebook. It's one of those that has like a Google or something. I
so
just don't know.
there's Google Meets or Google Hangouts. They
Hangout. Yeah.
seem to change the name every 6 months, but that's a platform. I think Join Me is still around. There's WebEx. There's GoToMeeting. There are a number of platforms. I know some people. There's been some concerns about Zoom security. They've made a lot of changes over the
Yeah.
last couple of weeks now to address that, to avoid the Zoom bombers. But one of the cool things that Zoom does is it will take your attendees basically and puts people into breakout rooms.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh, that's
so
good fun.
so it sort of creates these little micro networking opportunities where you put 4 people into a room and they get a chance to talk to each other, and then you can shuffle it up again. So you can create these opportunities. So maybe for somebody that's watching or listening, hey, you can be the one to create that event.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Well, Sally Whitehorn, Microsoft Teams. So Microsoft's come a long way with some
Yeah.
of their collaboration tools.
Yeah.
So there's no lack of tools. So that can't be the excuse. And somebody in your network, if those kinds of tools are if you kind of wrestle with getting those things up, there's going to be somebody in your network that can help you get that organized and launched. And again, if you're the one that does that raises the level of trust that people have in you, because you're the one taking the initiative to do it. And again, partner with somebody. You don't have to do it all on your own. Well, Jana, this has been great, and I suspect you and I could carry on this conversation for another hour. But just by way of recap, we know everything's changed, and yet, as much as things have changed, it's helping us realize that there are a lot of things that haven't. The mindset that we have is absolutely crucial, because we want to view this as a way to help people and that giver's gain. I want to give, I want to listen, not just tell you my sales pitch and then move on to the next person. People want to be valued. And so that mindset, the strategic approach, and really the biggest thing that has shifted is just the mode. And so one-to-one, still important. The tools are there to do it. And one of the things that I've heard several times that you've brought up, and I think is really valuable, is don't forget about your existing network. Don't forget about the people that you're connected to on LinkedIn, the people that are in your email contact list, the people whose business cards are, in the drawer,
In your drawer.
that you've met at events. Just when you follow up with them, don't try to, act hokey and act like, oh, I genuinely, I've been really concerned about you. And maybe you have been, but don't use that as a way to try to get in the door when they're going to be able to smell what you're stepping in.
Right.
And so, Jana, any closing thoughts on what we've talked about? Any sort of final takeaways for our viewers and listeners?
I think really the best thing is don't look at what you think you've lost. look at what you can create now.
Mm.
There's always opportunities. When we're in a crisis, the only way to kind of look is up, right? And there's little sayings you can have, there's no rainbow without a storm. So, we can look for all the rainbows. And right now, I think one of the biggest rainbows is to reset yourself. Think about, okay, I have some time now to recreate my plan, to really think through my business, to know exactly what I want instead of just be shooting all over the place. And then pick the right people from here forward that will help your business grow strategically, not randomly and hope for the best, but really be specific. So to me, this is an opportunity. Yeah, have we lost something? Sure. But I think in some ways, being screeched to a halt helps us to refocus and see what's important. Each one of us is going to have something different. And that we just need to look at it as a positive in spite of all the negative around us. Just focus on what's positive, what I can take out of this, what I can be like on the other side that's different, and who can I be with that's different, and look at it that way.
Absolutely. And I think that's with we can't choose our circumstances, but we can choose what we do in response.
That's right.
That's what we have control over. And I think that's great. Now, to wrap us up, one resource that you and I talked about earlier was, I have the web address on the screen right now, is ivanmeisner.com. And so Dr. Meisner leads BNI. And if I've got his title wrong, Jana, tell me.
Well, he's now the Chief Visionary Officer. There's a new CEO. He's the vision of BNI in the background. But those things on his podcast, web, blog posts, and everything, he interviews tons of successful people all over the world. And then he brings those into really short, like 3-minute blogs that he does visuals on. It's really super good. I probably watched about 10 of them on the weekend. I didn't even know that part existed. It's a new creation, but it's 136 pages, so I don't think it's that new.
Yeah. So there's some good content. And this article that I'm looking at right now is develop your online networking skills. So if you want to go deeper, if you want a good resource on networking, then that website is certainly a really good place to go to.
Yes, it's really good.
And then also, I want to make sure that we have the opportunity, if you're our viewers and our listeners, if you would like to get in touch with Jana and have a conversation about networking, you can reach out to her. And so her information is on the screen. Her email is jana@bnimidsouth.com. And you can also reach her by cell, which is 901-634-7419. And when she and I were talking earlier about that, she had a good reminder that if you call her cell phone, leave a message. Like the rest of us, half the calls we get are from car warranty services or whichever other robocaller happens to be calling us that day. So email's the best way. So thanks everybody for joining us today. I would love for you to come back this next Friday. We're going to be talking about things you can do on your website. Simple changes that can win you more business. There are a lot of mistakes that I see on people's websites that can be fixed. Easy fixes, Jana. And so we're going to talk about that. Now, this episode will be available as a recording on the Wayfind YouTube channel. So you can just find us, search for Wayfind Marketing on YouTube. You can also go to wayfindmarketing.com/live. If you want to keep up with these, please go to YouTube and subscribe. You can also like us on Facebook, facebook.com/wayfindmarketing. I need to put that one on the screen. But Jana, thanks again for being here today. It's a great conversation. And also this will be available as a podcast here over the next couple of days. So
thanks, Dave.
Everybody, thank you for joining us and have a fantastic Tuesday afternoon.